What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Scotty by Nature TV and a good buddy of mine, Beasley. And he got a couple of things that he want to introduce you with.
Oh, testing, testing. One, two, three. This is the young prince by the name of Beasley. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Beasley here. I hope you all are staying cool, calm, and collected out there. I'm so happy to be in Scotty's house to discuss the good old cat and mouse.
All right, so let's get into it. Okay, you guys. So we are here to discuss the I feel like one of the most iconic feuds of basketball wives history, and that is OG versus Evelyn. And Beasley actually chose this one. So before we get into, because everybody that does this, they choose their own feud. So Beasley, if you can, before we get into this whole thing, why did you choose OG versus Evelyn out of all the ones that was on the list for you to choose? Why did you choose this one?
Because as controversial as this feud was, it was some of the best reality television I have seen in years. Like, I hate to even admit that, but I was legit glued to my screen. And to be honest with you guys, I don't even really watch VH1 anymore like that. But this
Me either.
right here was like the peak of all the reality television on that channel.
I agree. I definitely agree. That was probably the last time I looked at VH1 heavily like that.
Hmm.
Probably the last time. I was still doing videos in the bathroom then. So that was a long, that was a
Another
long
iconic moment.
yes, and that season was kind of the season that kind of started my channel to really blow up uh like it is now. That's pretty much the start, the springboard for it. So
Mhm.
that season right there, oh, that season right there. But we finna get into it. So
Yeah,
first,
like this feud generated so much anger from the public. It was like just the vitriol, just the climax. It was just it's unmatched.
yes. So we're gonna go ahead and start this thing. OG stepped into the scene in season 7. And I must say that I remember when VH1's YouTube channel first started putting out like the little introductions of all of the new cast members. They had Cece, they had Kristen, and they had OG.
Hmm.
Off the top, off the dome, I knew that OG was going to be my favorite one. I knew she would be my favorite one. Off the dome. What about you?
Well, I knew she was gonna be my favorite because we needed somebody to go against the likes of Shawnee O'Neal and Evelyn, and she was instantly propped up to do that. You know, Kristen came in, she became a traitor to her own family, and then Cece didn't really have much of a backbone. So all that we had to go against all the other girls was OG.
And I thought that she would be the right one because I don't know what it was about her, but I knew that she would be the one that I would be rooting for, like the most. I knew that she would be the one. So when OG first came onto the scene, her very first feud was with Kristen. I don't really think that she's really started feuding with Evelyn up until season 8, really.
Correct.
Okay, so what would you say was the first was the startup of the beef with her and Evelyn? What would you say was startup?
Ooh, that is tricky.
Because a lot happened.
Hmm. A whole lot happened. I feel like the girls, like Kristen, they took Kristen under their wing and they just like they didn't like the fact that OG was like going against her so hard, even though like OG didn't really spill tea that wasn't already spilled.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to jog my memory because it kind of feels like it was like accumulation of different things and it happened out of nowhere between OG. And then you have to remember that OG was sticking up for CC
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't like the fact, mainly Evelyn didn't like the fact that they couldn't get one leg up on OG whatsoever. So that's when they tried to spill tea on each other and Evelyn ended up having egg on her face.
I feel like, and I'm glad you mentioned this. I feel like they were pissed because OG was having CC's back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know a lot of the times they'll be like, CC doesn't need a bodyguard. CC doesn't need a bodyguard. CC doesn't need a bodyguard. But they always had each other's back. So I felt as though they were mad because OG was a powerful ally for CC and they wanted to punk CC. But that was impossible to do because OG was standing in front of them. So I would say that once OG exposed the family secret of Kristen husband not necessarily being Byron's biological son, everybody took Kristen's side in the situation. And that pretty much started the maligning of CC and OG both. Because they was already starting to malign CC anyway, and they were already sort of maligning OG based off of the way she dressed and all of that stuff. But they really started to malign both of them. And then OG started forming like this little bond with Tammy. You know, she was really cool with
Mm-hmm.
Tammy, which I was appreciative of that. I would say I was appreciative of this Tammy and OG relationship because they treated OG the same way they treated Tammy when Tammy first came on the show. Would you agree or disagree?
No, absolutely. The only thing that was disappointing to me was that Tammy at that point kind of stopped showing up to filming. So
Mm-hmm.
she was just really just like a mentor to OG, but not really like on OG's side. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Now you're like jogging my memory. Like Tammy, they treated her the same way they treated Tammy. In real talk, they treated her the same way they treated all the other dark skinned girls. Like I feel like this show had a colorism issue all the way back from season one. We just didn't know what colorism was back then.
Okay, well, since you said that, let's get into that then, because you know the OG and Evelyn feud is pretty much centered around like the colorism and stuff like that. So when you say they've had a colorism issue on this show since the very first season, let's get into that just a little bit. Let's get into that. So why would you say that?
Well, for one, we have to go all the way back to how they treated Royce. Now, at the end of season one, Royce ended up being like friends with the girls, but she went through a whole entire hazing process. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said earlier, we didn't know what colorism was. You know, they talked bad about how Royce dressed, and a lot of people, including YouTubers that reviewed the show way back in the day, talked bad about Royce coming on the screen with natural hair. So that was already a situation. You know, we had Jennifer there, but they didn't really go in on Jennifer because she was a lap dog and she had that Barbie esque aesthetic that we call the Barbie core aesthetic to get today.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, Jennifer kind of just stayed to the side. And then you go into, I believe, when did Mika come in? Was it season two or season three?
It was season three.
Yeah, we go into season three. Mika was treated like shit. Now, granted, we all didn't like Mika. Now, Mika was the first bone collector before Sheree Whitfield was. Um, but Tammy called her black ass several times, and we
Mm-hmm.
didn't see it as problematic then, but we see it as problematic now because you have this high yellow, hazel eyed, light skinned woman calling a darker skinned woman black ass. So,
Mm-hmm.
actually, even back then when I was like a kid, I kind of like cringed at that fact as well. And then we bring in what was her name? The singer girl was it Keisha? Not Keisha, Kenya.
Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
Kenya.
Kenya was like after Royce left. Kenya was the one like dark skinned girl that actually like had a backbone to sit up for herself. But they excuse Evelyn's behavior because it generated great ratings, especially with the
Mm-hmm.
fact that she threw a whole entire glass bottle at her and nobody did anything. So it's been like a continuous problem with colorism on this show. And then you fast forward up to OG, who she was expected to fall in line. Like OG was expected to fall in line, and she didn't do that. I mean, I even remember when Malaysia told her like, "Why don't you just take it? Like, why don't you just take it?"
Ah, that pissed me off. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically like telling her like, "Girl, like just go along with the get along. Like you should just be happy to be here because Malaysia was just happy to be there at that point because she had nothing going on. Is Malaysia dark skinned to you? Hmm.
She was.
Yeah, you know, she was, you know, like another Jennifer with a little bit more of a backbone, but regardless. Like the only time they've allowed darker skinned women on this show to come back season after season is if they just fell in line and just did what they were told. And that
Basically.
and OG was the antithesis to all of that, and it became like the big shit show that it is today.
Hmm. Yeah, I think um Basketball Wives, unfortunately, was showing us mean girls and how they bully other people. It should have been called Basketball Bullies. That's what it should have been called. Because all they really did was bully the other girls who really didn't, like you said, fall in line. Um,
Or the Bad Girls Club AARP edition. I mean, am I right or am I right?
you right. So I think once we get into season 8 again, it was mainly when OG started having CC's back heavily in this situation. Like they kept coming for CC. They kept bullying CC. They kept trying to, drag her down. Even Malaysia, who was supposed to be her family. And she took Kristen's side. She didn't remain neutral at all. And I think it was this is when Malaysia disappointed me. And this is
Same.
why I haven't liked Malaysia since.
I still
And
don't like her.
yeah, I like right now she's getting the gang up treatment right now on Basketball Wives, and everybody feels sorry for her. But
Yep.
it's like I said no, because
Karma. It's
yeah.
karma. She got on this show and did everything that Byron told her and Kristen not to do. I'll never
Hmm.
forget that pep talk that he had with CC, Kristen, and Malaysia. Like he was telling them to stay together, and Kristen was the first person that switched up because she wanted to be on this show because her broke ass needed a check and wanted some reality television fame. And Malaysia was on her last leg with this show. She wasn't even come back. Like Evelyn even told her on that season that she came back. She told Malaysia to her face that you weren't even supposed to be here.
Yes,
See,
she said
so
that. She said the reason why I'm here is because they told me that she wasn't gonna be here. She was talking about Brandy on that part. Then Malaysia was like, "You talking about her? Me, not her." She was like, "Oh, you too." She didn't want to come back if they were back, and that's the thing that people don't understand when I say what I say. When I started reviewing the show when it came back. And I said, I don't feel sorry for Malaysia because she turned on her family for the same people that did not want her on the show. That's why I am not mad at Brandy for going in on her the way that she was because they bullied her friend off the show. She stayed around and got up their ass. And it's just like,
when that check is about to run up, they will switch up. And that's exactly what she did.
exactly. That's exactly what happened. And then, with Cece, Kristen has turned on her. Malaysia's turned on her. Those were the true allies that she really had. Because, I mean, she had Jackie, but Jackie flip flops. You don't never really know where she stands with certain things. You
That's
don't
my
know.
queen.
Yes, and I love Jackie. But she, but
Crazy
she,
ass.
she flip flops a lot. So you don't understand, you don't know where she's really at with stuff. The only solid ally she had was OG.
Hmm.
Evelyn started talking about OG's toes. Evelyn and I mean Phoebe had a song about OG. Evelyn was trying to chorus her into performing the song. And then I think the beef went to a whole nother level when they went on their trip. Where did they go?
Was
Was
it
it
Mexico? No, was it Colombia?
it was something. I know it was somewhere hot and
They
all
were in
that.
a jungle.
Yeah,
That's all I
basically.
remember.
And I think the whole thing was they were all pinning this aggressive label on OG. She's aggressive. She's dangerous. She's aggressive. She's violent. She's aggressive and she's violent, but she never put hands on nobody. But yet, y'all saying y'all scared, but yet you got a person that's thrown drinks at people. You got a person that's thrown tables at people, but y'all feel
Hmm.
safe around them. But her, she's aggressive. And then there was some people were saying some people really don't get it. Like when they because they don't like because some of these people really don't like OG and they don't try to see it from another standpoint. They only say, well, she is aggressive. The thing of it is, it's not that we're denying whether or not she's aggressive or not. The problem is that y'all calling her aggressive, and that's the reason why y'all afraid. But Evelyn, Malaysia has both been violent. And
Yep.
even Jackie's been violent. But nobody will say that they scared to be around her. It's a double standard. What is your thoughts and what is your take on Nick?
I can see one time that I have is I can see both sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the people that call OG aggressive, we have to keep it all the way real. And I may get a lot of flack for saying this, but OG did come on the show sitting on ready. Like from day one, like she watched the show before she got on. So she immediately like she was like sitting ready for somebody to say something about her looks, about her fashions, like she was ready to get read. And I'll never forget that one scene when she first came in, when she sat down with Malaysia and Evelyn, when Malaysia had that terrible ass wig and and they were just going at it. And OG instantly had an attitude in that scene before those two girls could even really say anything. And this is when
Mm-hmm.
Evelyn wasn't even really like OG wasn't even really on Evelyn's radar. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like you're just meeting this girl and she already has like this like not aggressive, but this very like somewhat like piss poor attitude.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
she was angry when she first got on the scene and met Malaysia and Evelyn.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Evelyn and Malaysia, like you said, have had like a lot of aggression in the past. I mean, Malaysia threw a whole entire table at Jennifer, and, and all Evelyn does is throw drinks, throw bottles and throw drinks, but can't throw hands. So like it's a it is a constant like repeat cycle of them two doing anything and everything and getting away with it because VH1 enabled this behavior. Those two became the top earners because of their ratchet ass behavior because it generated views.
Mm-hmm.
And Shawnee O'Neal never said anything because she liked Evelyn and she tolerated Malaysia. And I think that Shawnee and OG never got a chance to even really have like a sit down to get to know each other. So therefore, Shawnee just kind of just wrote her off, especially because she doesn't fit Shawnee's aesthetic. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Nostradamus head ass. I see her at my job on a daily basis too. Like on a daily basis. My friend is her personal shopper and she comes in with her Amazon children all the time.
My thing is, Shani, I feel like Shani did not want to like OG. And that's just the fact. She didn't want to. Like, do you agree with that? Like, I just feel like she didn't want
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't fit her mean girl aesthetic, like you can't be in the clique. It's an invisible hierarchy. She's always going to be the queen bee.
to. Exactly. Let's see. So after that whole situation, they went on this trip. They were arguing back and forth. Evelyn said that she was ugly, 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 ugly. Then OG said, well, Ocho Cinco wanted me. The line heard all over the world. Ocho
Mm,
Cinco wanted me. Ocho Cinco wanted me. So then after she said that, that's when Evelyn felt stupid to the point to where she has to reach out to the person that abused her to get ammunition against her opponent. So he sent her a bunch of tweets. Some were deleted, some wasn't, and she presented those to OG to put her
mm,
on blast. Oh, but OG had
mm,
her own receipts, and there were text messages from 2011. She was because Evelyn was
mm.
like, these come from 2014. Then Cece said, actually, we met in 2011. And then Evelyn turned around like,
I just played it in my head. Hey, babe. Hey, babe. Hey, babe.
exactly right. So some people were feeling like, There were people on Twitter feeling like OG was all thirsty and all this other stuff, but I don't feel like she was being thirsty. I mean, not OG. Ocho Cinco was reaching out to her. Ocho Cinco was trying to get at her. That was true. Her whole point was, you gonna call me ugly, but the same man you were married to wanted me. So how you gonna call me ugly? You feel what I'm saying? And that pissed Evelyn the fuck off. She lost that. She lost that fight, and she couldn't handle it. By the time we get to the reunion, OG is set on a whole different stage than the rest of the girls at this point. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like they say they don't want OG on the stage because she's aggressive and they fear for their safety. This is where the bullshit starts. So, what was you thinking when you watched their reunion and you saw that they want to have OG via satellite because the other girls were uncomfortable?
Let me just take it back to the season finale real quick. So,
Okay.
for one, Evelyn of all people should know that pussy doesn't have a face. So OG was trying to get it. So Ocho Cinco was trying to get in where he could fit in. And this is another unpopular opinion. I feel like those two were fighting each other. Like I feel like they were fighting each other and they came to blows because Evelyn was mad at the fact that she gave him a pass to cheat, even though she just wanted to do that so that she could keep him. But my thing is, fast forward to the reunion, like it was just a complete shit show. Like they took a whole entire hour for them to even get started. Like it was just a big it's something that has never been done before on any of these reunion shows. Like I just don't understand like the network enabling like all this behavior to transpire by like keeping the one darker skinned girl away from the rest of the cast. Like she was gonna like beat up all of them at once. Like is she Hulk? Like what are we doing here? And I can't even lie to you. I was a little disappointed in CC for leaving. I was. Like
Mm.
I feel like OG has always had CC's back. CC never returned the favor. Now, granted, CC is a lot older and didn't want to be put up with the BS, but girl, you're on the reality television show, so you're here with the rest of them. You got to get down like the rest of them.
Yeah, because her
But
whole thing was she was saying if we're not gonna do it the right way, we're not gonna do it. That was her whole thing. But then I felt like once OG decided that she was gonna go on and do it, I felt like CC could have just rolled with it and been like, okay, well, if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna roll with you. Because I know if it were me and it was like Jamar or something like that, and they sat Jamar in a different room, and if Jamar wasn't coming out on stage, then I was gonna come out on stage. But then if Jamar decided to stay, I would have went on and did the thing, but I wasn't gonna go out there with the rest of them bitches. I would have stayed back there with him. That's what I would have
exactly,
done. You know.
exactly. We the public let CC slide because she was like the wounded puppy dog. Like she always had to have a bodyguard or somebody to carry her. Like we never really held her accountable like that.
I ain't gonna lie. There was some times where I didn't hold her accountable either. And that was because I felt like she wasn't wrong for a lot of stuff. But then there was some things where it's like, now, CC, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like for real, I was like, "Nah, girl, like, are you serious?"
Yeah, she wasn't a good friend, and I was also disappointed that Tammy didn't show up like either. Like Tammy, I mean, granted, I don't blame her. She didn't give a damn, but at the same time, girl, like you created this culture of this mess. Like
Hmm.
you could at least come for like a final hoorah, and to have this girl's back that literally was carrying the show in your absence.
So, what do you say when people say that OG fans like ourselves likes to make her a victim when she's not a quote unquote victim? Like when we talk about, because I saw that come up quite a bit when this last season aired, when I was saying I didn't feel bad for Malaysia getting ganged up on by the Brooks and the Brandys and the Duffys because she did the same thing with OG when that last season OG was really on. She did the same thing. She clicked up the girls, the same girls that ganged up on her and went
Mm-hmm.
and ganged up on somebody else. And when I said that on up under one of the blog posts, they was like, of course they called her Toji. It was like, Toji, she's not a victim. All you Toji fans like to make this girl a victim. I don't feel like I make her a victim because I call it as I see it. I never said she was a victim. What I said was she was treated unfairly when it came down to the rest of the cast. So what's your thoughts when people say that?
Well, for one, the main cop out from them was the fact that she only acted the way she did because she's ugly. Like that's the one thing that everybody kept saying that I hated. Like everybody kept calling her ugly. Like she's ugly, 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 ugly. And I had to ask y'all, like, what is ugly? Because she has like actual like African features, like more pronounced features than a black American woman. And
Hmm.
it just felt like they used her like her pain as a cop out for the it's like they were sweeping the colorism issue under the rug. It's like, oh no, there was no colorism issue. She's just mad because she's ugly. Like that's really what everybody's argument was against the fact
Yeah.
that like there was a colorism issue, especially in the long history of this whole entire franchise.
And not only that, some people were saying maybe they don't like her, maybe they just don't like her ass, or maybe she's just ugly. Okay, so if you find somebody unattractive, that means they're supposed to be treated like that.
Exactly.
It didn't make any sense. Like every time they would try to make a point, they still didn't make a point. It was like, okay, so what are you saying here? Like, because she looks a certain type of way, that gives you the grounds to treat her a certain type of way? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. But they feel like it does because, oh, well, she ugly, so that means they can. No, they
Mm-hmm.
maligned the girl for no reason. Like it makes it even worse, to be honest. Like we treat her a certain type of way because we think she ugly. That's not right.
And we can't even just blame the fans. We have to blame the network too. Because now I don't want to bite anybody's toes like on your platform. Like I don't
Uh
want to
huh.
ruin any opportunities for you.
Uh huh.
But VH1 as of today does not have it anymore. They don't have the content. Like Basketball Wives and all the other shows, they're holding onto them for dear life because they don't have a replacement. So therefore, they were willing to just sweep everything up under the rug because they almost lost the show once due to bullying and fighting. And
Mm-hmm.
then they came back doing the same shit all over again with colorism, like more pronounced and thrown into the mix. So VH1 was willing to go along with the get along and try to make OG not look like a victim in order for this show to move past everything and onto different storylines.
That's true because VH1 is definitely not it anymore. I tried watching these newer seasons of Love and Hip Hop over the last 2 years, and it's not working.
Mm-mm.
The
At
last season
all.
of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta that I actually enjoyed was the one with light skinned Keisha. That was right before the pandemic. That was the very last one that I enjoyed, and it was cut short due to the pandemic.
Me too. An unpopular opinion. I even liked 11 Hip Hop New York's last season before. Are they canceled now? I
That's what
think they're
the
can.
word is, because it would make
Yeah,
sense as to why all these New Yorkers are now on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta now.
which is a damn mess. Like Timberland boots do not belong in Atlanta. Like it's just not it. Like
Love and Hip Hop Atlanta
burn
doesn't
it.
even feel like Atlanta. It feels like a Love and Hip Hop New York. It doesn't even feel like Atlanta. Like it's not good. Love and Hip Hop Miami is not good either. And then now they did strike gold with the whole family reunion thing. I did enjoy the whole family reunion thing that they did. The last one that
Mm.
they did. The first one not so much, but the last one that they did, I enjoyed it. But all in all, I don't know what VH1 is gonna do. They already renewed Basketball Wives for an 11th season, and
Ugh.
I don't know what's because they got they on break right now, and then they're gonna come back with the second part of the 10th season. So I don't know, but
If they're going to continue on, they need to do just a complete shake up. Just fire everybody and cast some new people. The same thing that needs to happen to Real Housewives of Atlanta is the same thing that needs to happen to the entirety of VH1. Just
Mm-hmm.
clean house completely and just start over because this ain't it. And if they keep going in this direction, this network is gonna go in a downward spiral.
As it's already going. Cause I can't tell you what I watch on VH1 anymore. Like my
What is
TV
on
is
VH1?
I don't even
I
tune
mean,
into VH1. Like my TV is on, my TV is on Bravo. That's it.
listen, I just stream everything, so I don't even know what's on TV, like
Yeah, but
regular cable
see, I'm
TV.
streaming too. See, I have a Roku. See, I don't even have cable. I haven't had cable in like 6 years. So it's like,
Mm-mm.
but all in all, I don't even think I need to ask the question of who was wrong because I think we're both gonna say Evelyn was. So
OG was wrong. She was dead ass wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Evelyn was wrong. Shawnee was wrong. VH1 was wrong. The producers were wrong. Everybody was wrong.
and that's just that on there. Okay, so before we get up out of here, Beasley, let the people know where they can find you and what your channel is all about. Because I think you are approaching your 1K. So let the people
Yes.
know where they can find you and what your channel is all about.
Yes, you guys can find me on YouTube as Beasley says. I talk a little bit about everything to be honest with you. Like anything that piques my interest, music, movies, fashion. Uh I'm getting more popular with just talking about myself lately. Like people will find me interesting for some reason. So I mean, hey, but come ahead. Go ahead and subscribe to me. Beasley says. You can also find me on Instagram as Prince_Beasley. I also have a beauty page I'm trying to like lift up too called Beasley Beauty underscore because I do makeup. So go ahead and follow me on there as well.
All right, you guys. Well, that was pretty much it, and we are done. So we will see you good people on the next one. Bye, y'all.
Bye.